Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony is about to begin. If you could please find your seats and silence or put your cell phones on vibrate. Welcome to our Spring 2012 Commissioning Ceremony. My name is Cadet Adam Harrison, your Master of Ceremonies. On behalf of the Military Science Department Chair, Lieutenant Colonel Scott Jeffress, and the entire ROTC program, I'd like to welcome our cadets, cadre, staff, parents, families, and special guests. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the national anthem and the invocation.
Ladies and gentlemen, please bow your heads. Lord, I come to you today, we all come to you today as children under their mother, like the Apostle Paul says, and while we can ask for, we can't offer anything to you, but just to take us in your arms and guide us along the path. Jesus said that he is the way, the truth, and the light. No one comes to the Father except through him. And that path that we're about to take with our new officers here, bless that path, Lord, for many have went down it, and many have fallen, and many have stood fast. But direct their paths, as you said in Proverbs. But the path of the just is as a shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. Lord, I bless that you would just watch over us as we leave home today, as we thank you for blessing us and coming here safely. And stay with us all day, Lord, and for the rest of our years. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Please be seated. At this time, I would like to introduce our Military Science Department Chair, Lieutenant Colonel Scott Jeffress.
Well, good morning. Dr. Nolan, sir, Mrs. Nolan, Dr. Bach, Bishop, Dr. Garceau, other administrators and faculty, staff of this terrific institution, alumni, and other friends of the Buck Battalion, family members and cadets. We've got a great crowd here. We've got, just to single out a few, if they'll indulge me, first ever Cadet Battalion Commander at this Buck Battalion, and Ray Abner sitting back there, ETSU class of 53, 54. We've got former professors of military science. We've got lots of servicemen and women. If I could just for a minute get the veterans in the crowd to stand. Anybody who served. Thank you, and thanks for that service. It's a neat testament to have so many of you in our midst today. This is a great day. There is a lot of energy in this room. This is a great crowd, and should not be surprising given what's about to happen here. This is also a very busy day at East Tennessee State University. Class reunions, big breakfast this morning for the 50th class. We've got College of Pharmacy and Medicine with commencements. We've got a nurse pinning ceremony going on campus today, host of other things. And so, especially to our campus senior leaders, thank you so much for making this, keeping us on your priority list, if you will, and joining us. And for everybody, thanks for making the time in what is a very, very busy time of year to be here. But I am confident, though, that you will be glad you did when you see what we're about to celebrate in the next few minutes. This is the culmination of literally years of hard work and commitment and determination on the part of these 9 folks. They made a decision a while back, some of them as early as high school, to live up to some ideals and to live by standards that the average college student doesn't, that the average American doesn't necessarily. And because of that decision, we're here today as they transition from being ROTC cadets and students to Army officers and professionals beyond college as they go off tomorrow after commencement. Now, for folks who have attended some of these commissioning ceremonies before, you will obviously note we are not in Brown Hall. We are not in the place we normally are. We're here in Brooks Gym within Brooks Memorial Hall. Not only do we have too many commissionees to fit where we normally go on the stage, but next Saturday, the 12th of May, we will celebrate 60 years of ETSU Army ROTC on this campus. And as we looked at that 60th birthday, thought it was only fitting that we return to a building that in name was dedicated in honor of ETS, then East Tennessee State College graduates who had answered the nation's call, who had served in the World Wars, who had served in Korea. And as you entered the building today, you passed a plaque on the wall, some of you may have noticed it, that has names of folks who were killed in action in Korea, graduates of this institution. And you couple that with the Veterans Memorial out front where the big flagpole is and the granite monument. This is a special place to us. And I know special place to the institution. This, as we go through the next few months and years, we are in the center of campus. There will be, I'm told, some changes on campus. This is just a great place to be, and so we welcome you to what is our home to celebrate, again, this big day. This has also been a really special year for our program, whether it's academic achievement, physical fitness, competitive events that our Ranger Challenge and other cadets have been part of, competing, and as you walked in you probably saw some trophies out front. Those are just representative of some of the excellence of these cadets in going up against, in the same way that athletics teams do, schools like Vanderbilt, Notre Dame, The Ohio State University, University of Michigan, huge schools relative to us and to the size of our cadet group, and yet consistently those men and women there in the middle, these men and women here on stage, took trophies, to include a win at the Mountain Man March down in Gatlinburg recently, and a second and a fourth place and a third place at brigade competitions, doing things the average person doesn't do, really demanding skills. Again, that's the kind of excellence that this program's been all about for 60 years and that exists here today that we can be very, very proud of. Now, if you'll just allow me a minute to thank the folks who make this happen. First to our stellar Buck Battalion cadre, and they are all over the place here doing various things, but Each of them has put in a lot of hours, a lot of hard work, putting this together. Anytime you get a new place and you got to create it from scratch, that's difficult. So to them, as well as to our cadets who've been helping out, thank you very much. And we trust that that work's paid off in a first-class event for you all, because you've earned that, and for you all to enjoy it. Thanks to Dave and Zion and Shannon from eLearning, who are streaming this ceremony live as we speak. And while we do have some recent alums in the audience, returning lieutenants, and I thank you, it's great to see you all, we've got some that are around the globe who've told me, hey, if I can get the time, I'm going to watch this live. So hopefully that's the case, and hopefully you're enjoying that. Jim Sledge, who's up there in the balcony, from ETSU's Photo Lab, tremendous friend, always captures these events just brilliantly. And I'll tell you one note on the Photo Lab that's kind of interesting. This past year they provided support to us on a branding initiative, if you will, that the Army selects a few schools each year, and this year ETSU is one of those, to create some products. Some of them you can see in the hallways. But as our cadets and our cadre were recognized for their excellence in that selection, the Photo Lab, a number of the products, and again, you can see them as you roam the building afterwards in the classrooms, in the hallways, they were so good that I am told that a number of those products from ETSU's Photo Lab in next year's catalog will become the standard image. So Dr. Nolan, sir, as you travel the region and visit brother-sister schools, you may, in your travels, come across an ROTC poster that has the shining face of Sergeant First Class Tony Walker on it, or one of your cadets. So pretty neat stuff. For all those put together, if you just join me in a quick round of applause. And as we really get started with the ceremony, just a few admin notes for folks who have not had the opportunity to attend one of these. Army ceremonies, rich in significance and meaning, and today is no different. Some of these traditions that we're going to follow date back to the beginnings of the Army, so 200, almost 37 years ago now. They are purposeful, and they help highlight the commitment that these 9 have made and are renewing today. And so I encourage you to watch what happens, listen to the words, and you'll be glad you did. But as we're doing that, and some of the things are a little solemn up here, as we do that, still, this is a time and a day of celebration, so feel free to share your excitement at what's going on. Applaud, and you'll know when it's appropriate to do that. Cheer, that's okay too. You can even stand up if you want. Take pictures. We've got some space down here to do that during the ceremony. Jim is capturing everything formally, and we'll get those out to commissionees and families. But if you need to move to take a picture when your cadet is getting bars pinned on him or whatever, that's fine. Please do be courteous of others, and there will be plenty of time afterward to take more photos. We'll probably even get Jim to come down and take some family shots. So again, lots of time to do all that. Now this morning we are privileged to have as our guest speaker one of our own, a Buck Battalion alum from the ETSU class of 1964, retired Lieutenant General Ron Hite. Now, he introduced himself to our cadets this morning when he had a chance to talk with them as a farm boy from Washington County. There is much more to him than that. Although at his roots, I know that's who he is, and that's what makes him so special. His biography is in your program. I'd encourage you to take a minute to look at that over the course of the day. That will give you a glimpse into the career and the achievements of this gentleman over here to my right. But beyond those, I would tell you that what's most significant to me about General Hite is that he is just a great friend to our cadets and to this battalion. Since my arrival here, I know that my personal interaction with him, anything I've asked, he has bent over backwards to do. He has been here for events, he has offered to help out, and he does it in a way that just absolutely does it without fanfare, without any expectation. He does it because that's who he is, that's what this program helped teach him to be, and it's just who he remains. And so he's also a member of our inaugural ROTC Hall of Fame class. He was inducted 3 years ago. His picture's in the hallway over there. Again, just a tremendous friend of ours, tremendous individual. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome retired Lieutenant General Ron Hite.
Scott, thank you very much. I'm truly honored to be here today. And Dr. and Mrs. Nolan, Dr. Bach, Dr. Bishop, Dr. Gasu, thanks so much for you all attending today. You don't know how much that means to this battalion and the Professor of Military Science. Over the years, I will tell you, I've been closely associated with the university, reacquainted with the university back in 1990 when I came on the board of the School of Technology with Dr. Jim Hales. And I've been very close over those years and watched how the administration, the leadership of this university supported this battalion. And Dr. Nolan, I know Dr. Stanton for 15 years was a solid supporter, and I know you're going to follow in those footsteps. As I participate in this ceremony today, it brings back a lot of memories. I was commissioned not in this gym, but over in the administration building across the street. And my memories are pretty vague about that. I remember my girlfriend pinning on those bars, and I was really proud of that. I remember the salute that cost me $1, which I really didn't have at that particular time in my life. I don't remember if we had a speaker. I'm sure we did. And if we did, they probably spoke too long for me because I wanted to get out of there. I had to be at Fort Jackson in about 2 days to run a basic training company for 8 weeks through the cycle before I went to Fort Benning for my infantry and airborne and ranger training. And incidentally, when I went to Fort Jackson, here I am, a boy from Northeast Tennessee, and the company I'm running through is from northern New Jersey and Brooklyn, New York. Now you can imagine the communications gap we had for the first week or two, but it was great. But that was so long ago, it makes me feel almost as old as Dan Mahoney, who was commissioned here in this gym. Right, Dan? Well, my congratulations to our soon-to-be newest Army officers. And also my congratulations to the spouses, the family, the friends, all of those who have helped these young new officers get through this last 4 years of academic training in ROTC. A special thanks to the ROTC department. What a wonderful job Colonel Jefferson and his staff had done, along with support with Dr. Garceau over these past 4 years. It is really great that this Professor of Military Science was able to take these 9 cadets through 4 years of training and be here for that pinning ceremony today. So Scott, congratulations, you have done a wonderful job. An outstanding officer. What they've done represents 4 years of academic study, and plugged into that academic study was also this ROTC commitment for 4 years. So it's an extra workload on what you might find for the average student here. I remember that. I told the cadet battalion this morning when I was here, somehow I majored in chemistry. Don't know why I did that, but I did. And me trying to balance the chemistry department with the ROTC department was definitely very challenging, especially the last couple of years. But we got through it, and I know with all the support of the staff and faculty here and the ROTC department, these folks made it. One of the things I've tried to do over the years, coming from Washington County, Tennessee, as I come back, I was the first one to go to college out there. And, you know, my mom and dad didn't go. But when I go back, I try to encourage young folks to go to college in that area. Whether it's, of course, my first choice is ETSU, but if anywhere, just as long as you go to college. And if you're not quite ready to go to college, you know, I say, okay, you need to go into one of the military services, no matter which one. You know, I prefer the Army, but, you know, people have different tastes. So I thought I would take just a couple of minutes to share with you a letter from an individual that I helped recruit out of Blackley Creek, Tennessee. And as I said this morning, Cadet Peterson knows where that is because that's about a mile northeast of Bowmantown, Tennessee. But it's between Fall Branch and Sulphur Springs, that particular area. This is a letter that this young soldier sent home. Dear Ma and Pa, I'm well, hope you are. Tell Brother Walt and Brother Elmer the Army beats working for old man Ralph Martin by a mile. Tell him to join up quick before all the places are filled. I was restless at first because you get to stay in bed till nearly 6 a.m. But I'm getting so I like to sleep late. Tell Walt and Elmer all you do before breakfast is smooth your cot and shine some things. No hogs to slop, feed to pitch, mash to mix, wood to split, fire to lay, practically nothing. All men got to shave, but it's not so bad because I actually have warm water. Breakfast is strong on trimmings like fruit juice, cereal, eggs, bacon, but kind of weak on chops, potatoes, ham, steak, fried eggplant, pie, and other regular food. But tell Walt and Elmer, you can always sit by the two city boys that live on coffee. Their food plus yours holds you to noon when you get fed again. It's no wonder these city boys can't walk much. We go on route marches, which a platoon sergeant says are long walks to harden us. If he thinks so, it's not my place to tell him different. A route march is about as far to our mailbox at home. Then the city guys get sore feet, and we all ride back in trucks. Now, you veterans can relate to that. The sergeant is like a school teacher. He nags a lot. The captain is like the school board. Majors and colonels just ride around and frown. They don't bother you none. And you never see any generals because they're either playing golf or tennis. This next bit of information will kill Walt and Elmer with laughing. I keep getting medals for shooting. Don't know why. The bullseye is near as big as a chipmunk's head and don't move. And it ain't shooting like the Higgins boys do at home. All you got to do is lie there and be comfortable about all of it. You don't even load your own cartridges. They come in boxes. My gosh. Then we have what they call hand-to-hand combat training. You get to wrestle with them city boys. I have to be real careful, though. They break real easy. It ain't like fighting with that old bull at home. I'm about the best they got in this, except that Tug Jordan from over in Fall Branch only beat him once. He joined up the same time as me, but I'm only 5'6" and 130 pounds, and he's 6'8" and 300 pounds dry. So in conclusion, Ma and Pa, be sure to tell brothers Walt and Elmer to hurry and join before others fellows get into this setup and come stampeding in. Signed, your loving daughter, Susan. Well, I think you vets can relate to all that. At least I can. I remember the first summer camp we went to from ROTC. I thought, my gosh, what to get into here? Well, on a more serious note, my purpose today is to direct a few remarks primarily at this group of new lieutenants that we're putting into the Army today. They're embarking on service to our nation, whether it's active duty, the reserves, or the National Guard, and there's a mixture of all three here. By taking the oath today, you are committed to this service and doing what so many have done before you, beginning with General George Washington and the Continental Army. And today is not a day for long speeches about the health of our nation or what's going on in the Department of Defense. Rather, it's a day for you to be extremely proud of your many accomplishments here at the university and looking forward to all those new exciting challenges ahead. And we talked about some of those this morning. I'm going to briefly highlight 5 points, 5 bits of advice, which, if you newly appointed officers keep in your rucksack and use those as you begin your time in the officer's rank, will undoubtedly make your transition into the military easier and enhance your chances for success as young officers. The first bit of advice is to lead by example. You must be always technically and tactically proficient, regardless of your officer especially. And I think we have 6 of the 12 Army branches represented here today in the commissioning. And whether it's knowing how to assemble and disassemble a weapon so you know what your troops are doing, whether it's map reading, drill and ceremonies, passage of lines if you're an infantry officer, any of those kind of things, you have to know that stuff because you're going to be looked at as the leader of those soldiers doing that. And being technically and tactically proficient gives you the credibility with those you lead, your contemporaries, and your superiors. And all of these qualities are critical to your effectiveness and success as a young officer. The second point, mission first. And we talked a little bit about that this morning, but always take care of your soldiers. Leadership has many faces, and one of the most important is how you treat those under your leadership. You have to be fair and firm but flexible when you're doing discipline on your soldiers. You have to, what I tried to do over the years is put myself in their shoes. Even though they're doing something wrong, I say, okay, if I'm standing in front of this captain or lieutenant or colonel or general, what am I thinking? How am I feeling? And, I can imagine. But I'll give you an example. I took over a brigade command up in Aberdeen Proving Ground several years ago, and I hadn't been in command 3 days till I received a call from the MPs. Sir, 3 of your soldiers have had a wreck down on the main drag. We had a 4-lane highway coming in the post, and in the center of that 4-lane highway we had all the tanks, starting from the first tank the Army ever had all the way up to the Abrams tank. Well, 2 of my soldiers down in one of the companies were on restricted quarters by their first sergeant. They decided to leave and go to downtown, and they happened to give a ride to a very sharp soldier in the car. On the way out, they met up with another 2 soldiers, and they started drag racing down that 4-lane highway. Well, the car with the 2 misfits and the real sharp soldier just got a ride to go into town hit one of those tanks head on. Well, I arrived, the medics were there. I watched all 3 of them pass away. One of the most heartbreaking things that I've ever seen. Well, the 2 other soldiers in the other car had gone on after the wreck, off post. Finally, they turned around and came back. One of the soldiers' name was Private Steve Blank from Minnesota. MPs took him to the MP station. I did a bunch of things with the problems we had with the deaths. I go to the MP station because, boy, I'm fit to be tied. I go to the MP station. I see this young soldier, had on a leather jacket, sitting there, and he was scared to death. So I brought him over. I gave him a field grade Article 15. That's, I fined him some money. And then I made him my driver because I saw something in him that day in the MP station, and when I was administering some discipline, this young kid can make it. Well, long story short, a few years later I came back as the 2-star commanding general of the Army Test Command in Aberdeen Proving Ground, and guess who I brought back in as my driver? Sergeant Steve Blank. And oh, guess what? He retired a few years later after several tours overseas as a Master Sergeant E8. That's what I'm talking about. Put yourself in their shoes. Don't make snap decisions on discipline. One of the most important things you'll do is how you discipline your soldiers, because it means something to them the rest of their lives. And you're going to have some that's not worth fooling with, but there's some that you can really salvage. The third point I would make is, and this is really important, your greatest asset as a second lieutenant will be your non-commissioned officers. Make sure that you allow them to be your trainer. They work for you, you're their leader, but you allow them to be your trainer. Because the first couple of years, you had a lot of good training here. You're going to need some good training out in your new jobs. Their expertise and maturity are absolutely priceless to young officers entering the service. I know. I was part of that. Now, you're going to be going out and you're going to have non-commissioned officers that are coming out of what we're winding down 12 years of combat that this nation has been in with our services. So you're going to have non-commissioned officers that have been in combat numerous times. They have so much to teach you, and they want to teach you, believe me, they do, because they want to be proud of you. And so I want you to remember that. I'll give you a quick war story about that. I went to Europe as a second lieutenant out of Fort Benning to Mechanized Infantry Division. I was a Mechanized Infantry platoon leader. They picked me up like at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was foggy, rainy, and out near Mannheim, Germany. The battalion was deployed out in the field. And I had 4 armored personnel carriers, 47 soldiers, including, and me and my platoon. The driver picked me up, took me out there. Took about an hour to get there. A Sergeant First Class Platoon Sergeant Huddleston met me. Sergeant Huddleston was a Georgia boy, infantry platoon sergeant. Played football. At that time, we had Army football teams like at Fort Bliss, Fort Benning. And he looked like a linebacker, had that blonde hair, flat top, really looked sharp. He took me around, reported to me, took me around to meet the squad leaders. I had 4 squad leaders, 4 NCO squad leaders, 4 NCO fire team leaders. They were E5, squad leaders at E6, Sergeant Hudson was in E7. He took me around to meet us. Most of those non-commissioned officers had been in the Korean War and had been up and down the ranks 3 or 4 times, except for Sergeant Hudson. Sergeant Hudson was a college graduate and a super individual. After I met these NCOs, he took me back to the command track. He gave me this little old green spiral notebook, which I still have. Had it wrapped up in Army tape and had it tabbed, and it said, okay, if you want to do a passage of lines, you go to P. But this is what you do as a lieutenant. If you want to do a river crossing in your APC, go to R, dang, 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 dang. All the way through, all those kind of things that I'd touched on here at the university. But this, he gave me a ready reference. Well, because of Sergeant Huddleston and those other 8 NCOs, our mech platoon won the Quinn Trophy for the best mechanized platoon in Europe. Wasn't what Ron Haidt did. I was a lieutenant. What I was doing, I was letting my non-commissioned officers train me, take me through the paces. I learned so much from them. Then when I became a company commander, you think I wasn't hot to go? Doggone it. I knew what I was doing based on what I learned here, what that group of NCOs taught me. So that's what I'm telling you. I want you to remember this one. The 4th piece of advice, and a point that I ask you to consider, is learn to listen and listen to learn. My father, who was a World War II vet in the infantry, his brother was also a World War II vet in the infantry, and my grandfather was a World War I vet in the infantry. He gave me one piece of advice, my father did, the day I pinned on my bars. I will never forget it. He said, son, second lieutenants need to keep their mouth closed and their ears open. Now, I thought that was pretty rough, but believe me, he knew what he was talking about. Keep your mouth closed. He said shut, but I didn't want to use that. And your ears open. I will tell you, loud and know-it-all young officers rarely make it up to be loud and know-it-all senior officers. We've had a few slip through the cracks. I've worked for 1 or 2, but it's very unusual. 5th and last, trust your instincts. And we talked about that this morning. As I told you this morning, when you come in as a lieutenant, you have instincts, but as you mature in age and you mature in rank, those instincts get better and better and better. If something doesn't feel right, it's probably not going to be right. So step back a couple of steps and say, hey, do I really want to do this? And it'll prevent you from cleaning up, policing up issues that you probably should have never had if you just followed your instincts. And I'll have to admit, I made some poor decisions in my career, but I can go back and look at those, and just about every one of them, I thought, maybe I should wait a little bit on this, or maybe I should think a little bit more about this. Trust your instincts. So, in closing, I've been giving you new lieutenants to be 5 bits of advice, which in my years of experience leading and mentoring young officers have been sound and on the mark. These work for me, and believe me, they work for many of our Army leaders. Now, some of you are sitting there thinking, now, hey, this is really a big day in my life. I'm graduating. I'm pinning on my lieutenant bars. I'm going to have a cookout at Qual. I have my family, my friends here. Big day for me. Now, General, you stand up there and you put out these 5 points and you ask me to remember these 5 points. Well, some of you might remember all 5 of them and apply all these. For those of you who do not remember these 5 points, I ask that you focus on this one. And you can probably guess what that is. And that is the one relating to allowing the non-commissioned officers to train and take care of you. My experience tells me that they will remind you of the other 4 points that you may have forgotten. Well, congratulations again. I'm proud of you. Your nation's proud of you. And I know our nation's going to be greatly and wonderfully served by this outstanding group of young officers coming into the Army. I hesitate to leave the podium without putting in one plug. That's for the Alumni Association. Now, I want to tell you something. We don't want your money now, But when you get to be colonels and senior majors and lieutenant colonels and generals, we'd like a little bit of your money coming back into the university to help scholarships and things like that. But what we really want now is we want you to join the Alumni Association and keep us informed of your addresses. You're all going to be moving around more than you ever known in your life, especially those that make a career out of this. So just keep us informed of your address so we can keep in touch with you, tell you what great things are going on at this university, because it takes people like you as you mature and mature and mature to keep this university strong. We have a wonderful university here. You all will even make it better as you go up the chain. Thank you all very much. You all have a great day.
Sir, thank you for those words. Lots of good advice. You all have heard most, if not all, of that before, but absolutely from somebody who knows all about that. Great words. Sir, I want to make sure that you have a visual memory of this day as well as what's in your mind, but sort of a traditional gift that we like to give our speakers is we've got a framed picture this morning when the general came in before he talked to the whole battalion, took a picture with these 9 young men and women on stage here. And so, sir, we hope you'll find a place for this office or home and remember these folks. Hey, thanks again.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to present the ETSU Army ROTC cadets who will be commissioned today as second lieutenants in the United States Army. The commissionees are Cadets Miranda Doss, Jeffrey Fowler, Christopher Hafner, Rochelle Lawson, Jacob McCann, William Parrott, Tyler Peterson, Laurel Stunkard, and Brett Trinkle. Lieutenant Colonel Jeffress will now administer the oath of office to the cadets. All military personnel, please rise. All military personnel, please rise. Attention to orders. The President of the United States has reposed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and abilities of Miranda Doss, Jeffrey Fowler, Christopher Hafner, Rochelle Lawson, Jacob McCann, William Parrott, Tyler Peterson, Laurel Stunkard, and Brett Trinkle, and hereby appoints them to the grade of Second Lieutenant in the United States Army, to rank as such from the 4th day of May 2012. These officers will therefore carefully and diligently discharge the duties of the office to which they have been appointed by doing and performing all manner of things thereunto belonging. And I do strictly charge and require those officers and other personnel of lesser rank to render such obedience as is due an officer of this grade and position. These officers are to observe and follow such orders and directions from time to time as may be given by the President of the United States of America or other superior officers, acting in accordance with the laws of the United States of America. This commission is to continue in force during the pleasure of the President of the United States of America under provisions of those public laws relating to officers of the armed forces of the United States of America, and the component thereof in which this appointment is made. Signed, the Honorable John McHugh, Secretary of the Army. Please be seated. Cadet Doss will be pinned by her brother, Sergeant Derek Doss, and sister Leanna Doss. Miranda Nichelle Doss served as Cadet Battalion Commander and held the rank of Cadet Lieutenant Colonel in the Buccaneer Battalion, the daughter of Chris and Karen Doss of Chilhowie, Virginia. Miranda has earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice and Criminology and is receiving her commission as a Second Lieutenant of Military Intelligence. Upon completion of the MI Officer Basic Course, Second Lieutenant Doss will be assigned to the 25th Infantry Division, Light Schofield Barracks, Hawaii. Second Lieutenant Doss' career goals include serving as a counterinsurgency company commander and one day becoming a brigadier general. Second Lieutenant Doss would like to thank all those who supported her in her efforts to attain her goal of becoming an Army officer. Cadet Fowler will be pinned by his parents, Steve and Donna Fowler. Jeffrey Stephen Fowler served as a Cadet Command Sergeant Major in the Buccaneer Battalion, the son of Donna and Steve Fowler of Canton, North Carolina. Jeff has earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and criminology and is receiving his commission as a second lieutenant in the Military Police Corps. Upon completion of the Military Police Officer Basic Course, Second Lieutenant Fowler will be assigned to the 363rd Military Police Company with the United States Army Reserves in Grafton, West Virginia. Second Lieutenant Fowler's career goals include serving as a platoon leader and company commander. Second Lieutenant Fowler hopes to pursue a civilian career in the Drug Enforcement Agency. Second Lieutenant Fowler would like to thank all of his family and friends who supported him in his efforts to attain his goal of becoming an Army officer. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Jeffrey Fowler. Cadet Hafner will be pinned by his mother, Margaret Hafner, and his grandparents, Richard and Mary Hafner. Christopher Wesley Hafner served as a Cadet Executive Officer and held the rank of Cadet Major in the Buccaneer Battalion. The son of Gerald and Margaret Hafner of Farmington, Missouri, Chris has earned a Bachelor of Science degree with a concentration in exercise science and is receiving his commission as a second lieutenant in the Medical Service Corps. Upon completion of the Medical Service Corps Officer Basic Course, Second Lieutenant Hafner will be assigned to the Army National Guard's Charlie Med Company in Knoxville, Tennessee. Chris's career goals include being accepted into ETSU's physical therapy program and serving as a physical therapist for the Army. Second Lieutenant Hafner hopes to work for the VA, helping service members and their families be rehabilitated to allow them to have a more functional life. Second Lieutenant Hafner would like to thank all those who supported him in his efforts to attain his goal of becoming an Army officer. In particular, his mother, father, grandparents, professors, friends, and the Buck Battalion. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Christopher Hafner. Cadet Lawson will be pinned by her husband, First Lieutenant Mark Lawson, and her parents, Stacy Plant and Rodney Crow. Rochelle Kathleen Lawson served as a cadet battalion S4 and held the rank of cadet captain in the Buccaneer Battalion. The daughter of Stacy Plant and Rodney Crook of Cookeville, Tennessee. Rochelle has earned a Bachelor of Science degree in physical education and is receiving her commission as a second lieutenant in the Medical Service Corps. Upon commissioning, Second Lieutenant Lawson will remain in the Army National Guard with Charlie Company, 278 Armored Cavalry Regiment, Knoxville, Tennessee. Second Lieutenant Lawson's career goals include becoming an occupational therapist. She hopes to complete the program at Milligan College by the summer of 2014. Upon completion of her occupational therapy boards, she plans to attend the Officer Basic Course. As an officer in the Medical Service Corps, she aspires to serve as a platoon leader and company commander. As a future operational therapist, she hopes to primarily work in pediatrics, but aspires to one day work in a level 1 military hospital, as she did last summer at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center, Germany. She will have a Christian wedding to her husband, First Lieutenant Mark L. Lawson, Jr., another Buck Battalion alumni, on June 2nd. Second Lieutenant Lawson would like to thank all those who supported her in her efforts to attain her goal of becoming an Army officer, in particular, her loving husband and family. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Rochelle Lawson. Cadet McCann will be pinned by his wife, Andrea, and his parents, Mike and Teresa McCann. Jacob Jackson Wayne McCann served as a Cadet Battalion S4 and held the rank of Cadet Major in the Buccaneer Battalion. The son of Michael and Teresa McCann of Kingsport, Tennessee, Jacob has earned a bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary studies with minors in military science and physical education, and receiving his commission as a second lieutenant in the Quartermaster Corps. Upon completion of his officer basic course, Second Lieutenant McCann will be assigned to the 1st Cavalry Division at Fort Hood, Texas. Second Lieutenant McCann's career goals include serving as a platoon leader and a company commander. Second Lieutenant McCann hopes to teach and coach after his service in the Army. He is married to lovely Andrea McCann of Erwin, Tennessee. Second Lieutenant McCann would like to thank all those who supported him in his efforts to attain his goal of becoming an Army officer. In particular, his wife Andrea, his parents Mike and Teresa, and his sisters and brothers Heather, Josh, Jamin, and Charlie. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Jacob McCann. Cadet Parrott will be pinned by his parents, Bill and Sandra Parrott. William Jonathan Parrott served as Cadet Battalion XO and S3 and held the rank of Cadet Major in the Buccaneer Battalion. The son of Bill and Sandra Parrott of Knoxville, Tennessee, and the proud brother of Lisa, Don, and Ashley, Billy will graduate with honors with a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice and Criminology. He is a distinguished military graduate and is receiving his commission as a second lieutenant in the infantry. Upon completion of infantry basic officer course at Fort Benning, Georgia, Second Lieutenant Parrott plans on completing one or more additional qualification courses before beginning Ranger School. Following this, he hopes to be stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky with the 101st Airborne Division. Second Lieutenant Parrott's career goals include serving a minimum of 20 years in the U.S. Army and holding command positions from platoon level to brigade level. After his retirement from the U.S. Army, Second Lieutenant Parrott plans on joining a specialized federal agency. Billy wishes to thank his family, friends, and specifically his parents for their encouragement, love, and support during this pursuit of his dream, being an officer in the United States Army. He is especially thankful for the inspiration from his paternal grandfather and proudly acknowledges that it is his faith, family, and friends that bring importance and significance to his life. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant William Parrott. Cadet Peterson will be pinned by his parents, Dwayne Peterson and Lynn Lane. Tyler Lane Peterson served as a Cadet Battalion S2 and Cadet Safety Officer and held the rank of Cadet Captain in the Buccaneer Battalion. The son of Lynn Lane of Jonesboro, Tennessee, and Dewan Peterson of Bowmantown, Tennessee, Tyler has earned a Bachelor of Science degree in accountancy and is receiving his commission as a second lieutenant in the Military Intelligence Corps. Upon completion of the Officer Basic Course, Second Lieutenant Peterson will be assigned to the 3rd Armored Brigade, 1st Cavalry Division, Fort Hood, Texas. Second Lieutenant Peterson's career goals include serving as a platoon leader, company commander, and battalion commander. Second Lieutenant Peterson hopes to retire to a 300-acre farm in Texas after his service in the Army. Second Lieutenant Peterson would like to thank all those who supported him in their efforts to attain his goal of becoming an Army officer. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Tyler Peterson. Cadet Stunkard will be pinned by her parents, Jeff and Linda Stunkard, and her boyfriend, Derek Harrison. Laurel Elisa Stunkard served as a cadet battalion recruiting officer and held the rank of cadet captain in the Buccaneer Battalion. The daughter of Linda and Jeff Stunkard of Oxford, Pennsylvania, Laurel is graduating cum laude with a Bachelor of Art degree in Women's Studies and is receiving her commission as a second lieutenant in the Adjutant General Corps. She will serve as a temporary duty at Joint Base Lewis McChord in support of the 2012 Leadership Development and Assessment course, before reporting to the Adjutant General Basic Officer Leader course at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. She will then be assigned to Fort Story, Virginia for her first duty station. Second Lieutenant Stunkard's service goals include 8 years of active duty and become a captain in the Adjutant General Corps. She's excited to be working in a field about which she is so passionate, personal operations. Her other goals include attending graduate school for a master's degree in sociology and working as either a counselor or researcher after military service. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Laurel Stunkard. Cadet Trinkle will be pinned by his wife, Mrs. Melissa Trinkle. Brett Aaron Trinkle served as Cadet Battalion Commander Recruiter and held the rank of Cadet Captain in the Buccaneer Battalion. The son of Stanley and Sherry Trinkle of Jonesville, Virginia, Brett has earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Interdisciplinary Studies with a concentration in elementary education. He is receiving his commission in the Virginia Army National Guard as a second lieutenant in the Adjutant General Corps. Upon completion of the Adjutant General Corps Basic Officer Leadership course, Second Lieutenant Trinkle will be assigned as a battalion personnel officer for the 1030th Transportation Battalion in Gate City, Virginia. Second Lieutenant Trinkle's civilian career goals include getting rich as a public school teacher, completing graduate school, and earning a doctorate in education. His military career goals include working hard to lead and earn respect of both subordinates and superiors alike. Second Lieutenant Trinkle is looking forward to growing old with his beautiful wife, Melissa, watching his children, Haley and Tatum, become more successful than both he and Melissa, and playing a round of golf at even par, with or without a witness. Second Lieutenant Trinkle would like to thank all those who supported him in his efforts to attain his goal of becoming a teacher and an Army officer. Ladies and gentlemen, Second Lieutenant Brett Trinkle. It is a time-honored tradition that newly commissioned lieutenants proudly present a silver dollar to the first enlisted soldier who salutes them. The salute is a symbol of respect due to the newly earned rank. The silver dollar represents the significant contribution that the recipient has made toward the new lieutenant in achieving this milestone. Lieutenant Doss will receive her first salute from her aunt, Chief Warrant Officer 4, Jennifer Doss. Lieutenant Fowler will receive his first salute from his sister, Specialist Kristen Fowler. Lieutenant Hafner will receive his first salute from his father, Sergeant Gerald Hafner. Lieutenant Lawson will receive her first salute from Airman David Stinson, retired. Lieutenant McCann will receive his first salute from Master Sergeant Don Schauber, retired. Lieutenant Parrott will receive his first salute from his father, Specialist Bill Parrott, retired. Lieutenant Peterson will receive his first salute from Master Sergeant Earl Peterson, retired. Lieutenant Stunkard will receive her first salute from Staff Sergeant Eric Stunkard. Lieutenant Trinkle will receive his first salute from Sergeant First Class Timothy Lawson. Each year, the Army designates the top newly commissioned lieutenants in each ROTC program as distinguished military students. These officers are recognized for displaying outstanding qualities of leadership, high moral character, noteworthy academic achievement, and exceptional aptitude for military service. In addition to Lieutenants Josh Elkins and Daniel Winters, who commissioned last December, Lieutenants Doss and Parrott have both clearly earned this distinction as DMS. In only a few months, these new lieutenants will be leading and caring for one of the nation's greatest resources, the American soldier. While officers, non-commissioned officers, and soldiers have distinct roles within our Army, when it comes to our shared values, patriotism, and dedication, everyone is a soldier. In recognition of that fact, and to honor what our soldiers stand for, our new lieutenants will now recite the Soldier's Creed. For those who would like to follow along, the Soldier's Creed is printed in your program. Ladies and gentlemen, you're good.
Standing by our soldiers is not an easy task. It requires steadfast vision, commitment, sacrifice, and earning a commission through the Army ROTC program is a long, challenging process. These new lieutenants here on stage would not be here today if it were not for you and for others who have shared in that, giving support and care. As they close the ETSU chapter of their lives and begin a new one, as Army officers, we want to give them a chance to formally thank you and to say thank you from our battalion for what you've done, what you've meant to them. Your lieutenants have asked us to prepare what we call Buck Battalion Certificates of Achievement and Appreciation for some of you. They'll present those after, given the size of the crowd and the time. They've got those, they'll present them afterward. But for now, if you're a family member, if you're a close friend, if you're someone who have supported these 9 great Americans on stage, would you stand for a minute, please? Thank you. That is great stuff, and it's a testament to you all that these 9 are here. Thanks again for helping us celebrate these outstanding men and women as they begin that new chapter. And right now, I'm confident that they are the newest officers in the United States Army. Again, this has been a special year for the Buck Battalion, and these 9 have made a lot of that difference. They've played a significant role in our success. It's because of the commitment they've made to serve, the leadership qualities that they exhibit and that they're going to continue to develop over time. It is because of their desire to lead our Army soldiers that we will be successful, continue that in the future. So to Lieutenants Doss and Fowler and Hafner, Lawson, McCann, Parrott, Peterson, Stunkard, and Trinkle, congratulations. Thank you from me, from the whole battalion, for everything you've done. For me personally, thank you for the leadership you've shown this year as the senior class, modeling that behavior, continue to build in those habits so that you can live them out as lieutenants. And thank you mostly just for making the choice. This is not something they had to do. It is absolutely not. I just think about that choice, and as General Height said, I think about, I made that, I guess, 27, 28 years ago. Very significant, and just again, thank you for making that choice and for continuing to do that in the future for the soldiers you're going to lead. So just remember what we've learned here. Take that away with you. Take General Height's great words of advice and put them into practice. As we talked outside before the ceremony, don't be afraid to be excellent. Don't be afraid of that. Live that out. The traditions that you've built here that are who the Buck Battalion is, take that to your first platoon. Take that to the Army, and we will be better for it. So thank you. To everyone, thanks for joining with us today. Thanks for taking time to celebrate. I know there's still a lot left to do this weekend, but be safe as you travel. Thanks for your support. And again, it is a great day to be here in this place with you all. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Army Song. The words are printed in your program. Our cadets and new lieutenants will sing along. We encourage you to do the same. First to cry for the right and to build the nation's might. The Army, proud of all we have done until the point. The Army, then it's high, high, hey. The Army's on its way. The cadence now is strong. On behalf of the Military Science Department, I apologize for that. I would like to bid farewell to our new lieutenants and wish them well in their future endeavors. This concludes our commissioning ceremony. We still have one thing left to do. Colonel Redmond.
As he's coming, if you'll take your seats.
Again? Yeah, I understand that. As is custom in the military, we welcome these new lieutenants in the Army, and we have a person that's leaving. And it is customary for us to recognize that person for the time and the service that they put into the unit. And so at this time, I'd like to ask Colonel Jeffers to please stand. We had done a very good job of keeping this a surprise until a few minutes ago this morning before the ceremony started. And so he found out about us, so the cat is out of the bag. But as many of you know, we had a retirement ceremony yesterday for Sergeant First Class Walker, and it's our new lieutenant's intent we thought that it would be appropriate as we bring them into the Army that we say farewell to Lieutenant Colonel Scott Jeffers during his final commissioning ceremony. Scott Jeffers has spent the last 22 years of his life in service to our nation, and nearly the past 5 years developing new lieutenants for the Army here at ETSU. And we would like to present him at this time with his retirement award and a few retirement gifts from the cadre and the cadets of ETSU. Attention to orders. The Meritorious Service Medal is presented to Lieutenant Colonel Richard Scott Jeffers, United States Army, for exceptional meritorious service in positions of increasing responsibility, culminating in a distinguished 22-year career as a professor of military science at East Tennessee State University. Throughout his distinguished 22-year career, Lieutenant Colonel Jeffers continually demonstrated a personal and professional commitment to excellence and selfless dedication to duty while leading soldiers in peace and in combat. He met every challenge, accomplished every mission, and served as an excellent role model for thousands of soldiers. His legacy of service to the Army and the nation reflects great credit upon him, the United States Army Cadet Command, and the United States Army. Signed, James M. McDonald, Major General, United States Army Commanding. Lieutenant Colonel Jeffers is also being presented with the United States flag in honor of his retirement and a letter of appreciation from the Army Chief of Staff and the Secretary of the Army. As we are all aware, it takes a tremendous support from your family and their commitment, and they have a great sacrifice over the course of a military career. So at this time, we would like to recognize and ask that Lieutenant Colonel Jeffers' wife Barbara and children Hannah and Colin and Julia please come up and join him on the stage. And at this time, Miss Debbie Donaldson will present Lieutenant Colonel Jeffers' wife, Barbara, with a bouquet of red roses, symbolizing her steadfast commitment and support to Scott during his multitude of assignments. Mrs. Donaldson is also joined on stage by Master Sergeant Matt Goodine, the senior military instructor, who is presenting battalion coins to Hannah, Colin, and Julia, in recognition for their sacrifices and their understanding as children of an Army officer. Almost. The cadets have also put together a gift for Lieutenant Colonel Jeffers, who will now be presented by Lieutenant Miranda Doss and Lieutenant William Parrott. This gift is a scrapbook with pictures that we hope that Lieutenant Colonel Jeffers will look through to remember the great things and the accomplishments that he has achieved here at ETSU. The cadre would now like to present their gift to Lieutenant Colonel Jeffers. The gift that Lieutenant Colonel Jeffers is receiving is a shadow box with a battalion coin, the ETSU patch, and a Buccaneer sword that symbolizes the pride and the time he has spent here on campus. And the inscription on the engraving reads, "Presented to Lieutenant Colonel Scott Jeffers from the ETSU cadets and cadre for 22 years of selfless service. Your 22 years of selfless service have been greatly appreciated. The knowledge and experience you have shared and the values you have instilled in future generations of Army officers will be remembered by a grateful nation. Buck 6 out." Lieutenant Colonel Scott Jeffers.
You have heard me say too many words already today. The one thing I told the cadre was if we were going to do anything like this, warranted or not, today was not the place or time to do it, to take away from them. So that shows the influence I have, apparently. But thank you so much. Thanks to you guys for allowing me to share in your ceremony. To the battalion, we talked outside. I don't need to go through all that again. Just remember, excellence. That's what this place is. That's who you are. Go ahead and do that. As I started Walker strong yesterday, so I got to do the same. It is hard. I've got to say that I've already told my wife she's in a little trouble because she didn't let me know this was happening, but she kept a secret. The kids kept a secret. I've got a lot of personal friends over there. My in-laws are there. My brother's sitting there. My parents are sitting there. I don't know who else is hiding over there. Thank you for making the trip up, to all of you. And yeah, this is hard after 22 years, and I've had a lot of time here, and this is just an incredible place. We are hopeful that, we've sort of committed to staying in the Tri-Cities area, staying in Johnson City. We own a home here. Our kids love it here. We've had a great time. And so we are hopeful that there will be an opportunity that presents itself so we can stay and maybe stay connected with this. As long as we're here, as long as we're able, we absolutely will want to stay connected to this battalion, this organization, these people, and to this institution. This is a great campus. We've already talked about the great support, great community. Got a lot of friends out here, and I really appreciate your making the time to be here on what's a very, very busy day. So I'm going to leave it at that. Say thank you one more time. Do we have anything else to do? I know there's a college that's got a commencement here in about 10 minutes we need to let people go to. Thank you one last time. The way we typically close these, we've got food outside, but we're going to keep the lieutenants up here on stage, and we're going to cycle the battalion through to shake their hands, and you all are welcome to take pictures and do all that again. Thank you so much on behalf of the battalion and one of my last acts formally, and thank you from me personally for what's a pretty amazing day. Thanks. Thank you. General Hyde, the pledge of allegiance.